What's up, guys? Enkiri here. Today we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite exercises, an exercise that hardly anyone does, that I myself forgot about for years, the push press. If I could only do one upper body lift for the rest of my life, it would be the push press. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. So let's get to it. I'll save the details about how to execute the push press correctly for my next video. But the gist of it is that the push press is somewhat of a hybrid between a strict overhead press and a jerk. The legs are used to power the bar off the shoulders, and the arms are used to ensure continual momentum and drive it through the lockout. This allows you to use much more weight than you could in a strict press, and in a sense, overload the muscles of the upper body, especially during the eccentric phase. Part of what makes the push press so great is that it's an upper body lift, but it's also kind of a dynamic lower body exercise. It makes the shoulders and triceps strong and jacked, but it also allows you to progressively increase the explosive power in your legs, aiding in athleticism. It strengthens the upper back, but it also helps to create muscular balance and mobility throughout the upper body and shoulder girdle. And last, and probably honestly most importantly, it teaches you how to master coordination and transference between your lower and upper body. See, part of the problem with having the bench press as your main upper body exercise is that you're lying down. A strong bench may very well create strong pecs and strong triceps in isolation from the lower body. But when that base of support is taken away, a lot of people struggle with transferring that upper body strength into total body activities and making it usable throughout a variety of different activities and movements. The push press, on the other hand, bypasses this issue by essentially merging these two elements into one and forcing you to become proficient at not only creating a line of communication between your lower body and your upper body, but also fortifying the pathway that connects them. Now, I suck at bench pressing, and there are a hell of a lot of guys my size who can outbench me substantially. But I guarantee you that I could still knock these same people on their asses on the field, even though they might technically have a stronger upper body than I do. So I have to ask, what good is that strength if it becomes a non-factor the minute you stand up off the bench? So here we have a true total body exercise disguised as an upper body exercise that creates real world strength throughout the lower body, upper body, and core, and also enhances athleticism, mobility, and proprioception. Let's take a closer look at the benefits of the push press, starting with the upper body. Then we'll look at its benefits on the lower body, and lastly, we'll examine the total body benefits of the exercise. The major upper body strength benefits of the push press will be on the shoulders and triceps. At about the midway point of the lift, the momentum imparted on the barbell via the leg drive is going to begin to dwindle, and the muscles in your shoulders are going to have to kick in hard and fast. Otherwise, the bar will come to a grinding halt. If you're able to successfully engage your shoulders and maintain the upward progression of the barbell, then the triceps will be called upon to lock out a load overhead that's much heavier than anything they've had to lock out before. And once they've helped you get the weight locked out overhead, then they have to do the lion's share of the work of controlling the load back down to your shoulders in a safe manner. In fact, as a relative newbie in the gym, the only thing that ever gave me true DOMs in my triceps was the push press. I didn't know it at the time, but the repeated negatives with what is essentially a super maximal load were beating the crap out of my tiny and unconditioned triceps. Overall, the effect that repeatedly pressing and lowering this overloaded barbell has is quite profound, and you'll quickly begin to notice a bit more pop coming from your delts and triceps, both in terms of strength and size. In addition to this, the push press is going to promote balance, strength, and mobility throughout the entire shoulder girdle. You're going to get more even stimulation spread across the medial deltoid and the anterior deltoid from actually pressing the weight. Contrast this with the bench press, which really only hits the anterior head of the deltoid. And repeatedly supporting the heavy load overhead is going to strengthen the posterior deltoid and all the stabilizers in a unique way as well. This balanced level of stimulation across all three heads of the deltoid is going to create an overall stronger and more injury-resilient shoulder. At the same time, simply learning how to support heavy loads overhead and then gradually tweaking that position over time into one that's more biomechanically efficient as you become stronger and more kinesthetically aware of your body positioning is going to create mobility in structures that have a tendency to become bound up, namely the shoulder joint, the lats, and the thoracic spine. Maintaining adequate mobility in these problem areas is not only going to directly protect the joint itself, but is also going to indirectly protect the lower back by allowing you to avoid lumbar hyperextension in situations where it may otherwise have been used as a compensation. Lastly, the push press is going to strengthen the hell out of the upper back and core muscles. As I mentioned earlier, my abs are currently tender to the touch, and all I did yesterday was a whole bunch of push presses. The fact is, the abs have to bear down as hard as humanly possible when you perform the dip and drive of the push press. Otherwise, none of the energy created by your legs will actually be able to transfer into the barbell. The harder the abdominal brace, the smaller the energy leak through that pathway. And once you begin to press the weight overhead, the abdominals must continue to bear down in order to protect the spine and keep the body stable. Same goes for when you're supporting the weight overhead. And finally, as you lower the supramaximal load back down to your shoulders, your abdominal brace must remain as solid as granite, lest you begin to hyperextend the lumbar spine during the eccentric, or allow your spine to buckle all together once the weight crashes back down onto your shoulders. So the abs are working very hard during this entire process, and they will become much stronger as a result. At the same time, the upper back is also working incredibly hard in much the same way as the abs. It must be held rigid and upright during the dip and drive, or the barbell will slip out in front of you. As you press the weight and support it overhead, it must work in conjunction with the abdominals to keep the spine stable and protected. And as the barbell is lowered and once again makes contact with the shoulders, the upper back must be strong enough to overcome and support this load while maintaining its upright and rigid posture in order to keep the barbell reeled in along the proper course. All this means that throughout the course of the lift, the upper back is working very hard to maintain posture and help you keep a tight and efficient bar path. And ultimately, this means it will become much stronger over time as a result. Overall, the push press confers great benefits in regards to strength, hypertrophy, and mobility for the upper body. This trifecta is hard to beat, and it makes the push press my #1 upper body exercise. I'll start this section off by saying the push press is not going to hypertrophy the thighs. There's simply not enough time under tension, eccentric loading, stretching of the muscles involved, or metabolic fatigue created to induce hypertrophy. What it will do, however, is give you a manner in which to progressively increase the explosive power that your legs are capable of creating. This is what the famous American weightlifting coach Glenn Penley refers to as knock 'em on their ass strength, because lower body power production is systematically increased in conjunction with upper body strength, all in one explosive movement. The push press actually originates from Olympic weightlifting, where it's used as an assistance exercise, and the dip and drive used to begin the movement is akin to that of the jerk. So essentially, what you actually end up doing during the push press is repeatedly practicing a loaded jump that gets slightly heavier and heavier over time. As you increase in skill and strength and are able to maintain the same level of explosiveness against heavier resistances, the power output of your legs will increase. You may find that your vertical jump, acceleration speed, and overall athleticism increase along with it. Your nervous system will fire more readily. You can cut harder and spring out of your brakes with more pop. Your first step will be all you need to leave people in the dust. When you run into somebody, they end up on their ass. This is all due to the dynamic lower body component of the push press, something that is readily trainable in people who have a solid base of lower body strength. And it's something that all serious lifters and athletes should take advantage of. The total body benefits of the push press are numerous, but there's one in particular that I want to focus on today: the full body coordination that can be honed and perfected through mastery of this exercise. Optimal intermuscular coordination between the major muscle groups of the lower and upper body is a skill that must be learned, practiced, and perfected. It's a component in nearly all athletic movements. Think about tackling someone, or throwing a punch, or pitching a baseball, or slapping a hockey puck. These are all movements which are primarily controlled by the upper body, but rely on the coordinated contribution of the lower body, as well as total body kinesthetic awareness to bolster their power. And here, I'm not even referring to strengthening these muscle groups to improve power output. We already know the push press does that. I'm simply referring to mastering the skill of full body coordination, something I see sorely lacking in many people, especially those who have been sedentary most of their lives, but also amongst many gym goers as well. I've seen plenty of jacked and strong powerlifters who look like lumbering oafs walking around the gym because the normal gym lifts don't require the same level of mastery of this skill. And make no mistake, the push press as a lift is an athletic endeavor. And if you lack this coordination and body awareness, you will quickly be humbled by it. But if you take the time to practice it and perfect it, you will have enhanced every physical facet of yourself as a human being. You will have joined the ranks of the new breed of lifter, the one who is also an athlete, a physical specimen, and a motor monster who moves with grace, precision, and power. And when the zombie apocalypse arrives, you will have ensured that you will be one of the last men standing. Anyway, that's all I got for now, guys. Please be sure to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time.